listen to the whistle of the wind. Lord, I'm thankful for everything.
Day 2, CrossFit Games. Tommy,
Yes.
how you feeling?
Good.
What do you hope to see today?
No more total bar.
How many extra total bars do you think you did yesterday?
I think we did 150, 20 rounds.
How much did you lift with the clean and jerk?
More than everyone.
There you have it. Tommy Bad A Vines.
So to start of day 2, the teams, especially going into today, pretty strong. There's only 14 teams, but you know the Invictus team is coming in 4th place, and Invictus Boston in 5th, and Invictus X in 10th. And so I think, given the fact that we're starting off with a run, like a long ruck run, we're gonna see some strengths and weaknesses. I mean, there's a bunch of people on the Invictus teams that are super strong runners. We know that. Like Margot is a great example. So it'll be interesting to see how they have to work with the guys, how they have to maybe like drag the guys along a little bit because they've got that rope in between them. And then on the individual side, you know, Eric and Connor made it through double cuts, so we get to see how they do on the run. I think that Christy, who finished day 1 in 4th place, I think, is going to smoke the run. This is not going to be a problem for her at all.
Yesterday, I'm really happy that they didn't have a cut after the first event for the teams the way they did for the individuals, because a lot of teams that struggled on that first event had redeeming performances in events 2 and 3, and therefore at the end of the day you had probably a good representation of where people should have been.
Invictus wasn't doing well in that first event yesterday. Talk me through that and how they kind of climbed up the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about Invictus as a totality, the 3 teams here, event 1 was bad for them. Probably the worst event they'll have all week. I don't know why, I don't know what happened. I mean, it was a tough event. But yeah, 2 and 3, they were great, especially the Invictus team that qualified from Dubai. They won the heavy lifting event, and that pumped them way up. They were in 4th coming into today. Invictus Boston was right behind them, and Invictus X was in 8th, so middle of the pack, and really positioned just fine to make a move today.
Memory helps make us who we are, whether recognizing loved ones, recalling past joys, or just remembering how to walk and talk and fry an egg. Memory is the chain that connects our past to our present. If it breaks, we're left untethered, incapable of leaving the present moment and unable to embrace the future.
Remember when there were no MP3s but CDs? Didn't care about germs, no concern of disease. Street lights came on, we high-fived and we leave. Back in the days it wasn't so hard to believe that I would wake up as the Black Power Ranger, never scared of danger.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep that applause going for our flyover conducted today by ROX 88, flight of 2 mighty T-38 Talons from Euro-NATO Joint Jet Pilot Training Program at Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas, representing CrossFit Wichita Falls. And folks, we're going to be right back with you here in just a few minutes with our first heat.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Usually, you know, 1 or 2. I mean, you know,
I just felt like running.
Congratulations.
I commented on your thing. I said, please give us a long rush.
our backs look like shit. Oh, fuck. Not so much here. So just like what hers looks like, times like 5.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Oh, mine's worse? No, I'm not this. It's a rock. It was rubbing on my back because my back muscles are so big. I've got this one. Thank you. Sorry.
How was it?
Oh, that was good. I was telling the guy interviewing us, it's like my good friend Forrest Gump once said, I just felt like running.
What did we just see went down?
We just saw a massive 6K run with rucks, and the teams and the individuals had to add weight each and every time that they did a lap, 4 laps total. And the Invictus teams did really well. You know, the Invictus X team came in second. It was nice to see them hustle. Actually, really nice to see them do these events that require a lot of teamwork and a lot of communication because they had to run carrying a rope. And we haven't really seen a ton of that because we watched them qualify back in Dubai, and a lot of those events were sort of individual athlete based. So this weekend is shaking out really well for them so far, considering the fact that they haven't necessarily needed to do a ton of that communication and teamwork yet. And something else is interesting that I heard is that the Invictus team may have done a little bit of shuffling of the weights in each other's bags. So what I mean is, like, each time they did a lap, they had to add weight, like put weight into their backpacks. But they did not necessarily all need to have the same equal weight. So I think that they might have pulled weight out of the bags of, let's say, some athletes who might not be as great as running, like maybe Sam, and maybe, I don't know, and maybe put extra weight in some of the runners that were stronger, like maybe Margot.
So because I did hear that as well. The rumor at the moment is that Margot Alvarez took weight off Holden and Sam.
Maybe.
And put it in her bag. Like, that's a kind of a crazy feat.
She is a beast. She is. They all are.
Well, I guess if I'm ever going to check into a hotel, I'm going to ask her to carry my bag.
All your bags. Her bags, your bags, some extra bags, just so she can get a workout in.
Next event's just about to come up for the team. Just talk me through that quickly.
Well, and look at what's going on behind me. So they're setting up a lot of these different sort of pieces of equipment that you may have seen before. Big Bob is back again for the second time here in the competition, and the Snail is back. We haven't seen that back in a while. 700 pounds of sand in those. It's going to be gnarly.
How do I look? Do I look good?
Average, I would say at best. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know.
But
That's
look,
important.
you were lucky enough to find a lovely lady for yourself, Armin. So I don't know how you pulled that one off.
I don't know. I pulled off either.
I mean, on a
I'm so
serious
lucky.
note, how is the CrossFit Games going? Talk to me a little bit about where we are and what's taking place.
All right, so we are hanging out here at the media center at the games. It's nice, it's shady, it's air conditioned. I'm not pissed about it at all, actually, considering how blindingly hot the sun is out there. But the games have been, early this year, the games were written off. They were absolutely just thrown into the toilet by so many people who had no confidence that they were going to be able to pull it off. But honestly, I think this year it's been more exciting and even better to watch. So whatever they did has been an improvement, in my opinion.
Yeah, I did see a lot of people, like, there was a lot of criticism, and some people were even claiming that this could be a potential, like, fire festival kind of event because it just seemed like it was disorganized. And from my perspective, and like I said, I think you agree, everything has gone pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, I think some people expected there to be this possibility of, like, showing up, everyone's ready to work out, and then there's, like, you know, tumbleweed blowing down the fields, and there's nothing set up, like the pavilion's only like half there. But honestly, it's been logistically pulled off incredibly well. The world feed looks like it's going nicely, and the eliminations that they've put into the field has just made every single event more exciting than it ever has been in the past.
You just took a trip out to HQ. You're basically the very well connected man in the CrossFit media world. I'd say you're kind of like the pseudo HQ media man themselves now. Where do you think the like CrossFit itself is going from what you know and your understanding of what Greg's direction is?
Well, I would say really the biggest shift here has been de-emphasizing the games, and it seems like it makes a lot of sense. At least it makes sense to me, because the games haven't been, you know, I guess based off of what we've heard from HQ, financially the most viable product in their stable of things that they're doing, and secondarily, it's not serving in their opinion, at least based off of, again, what HQ is saying, it's not serving the communities that they want to serve. I mean, Greg uses this example constantly of, the games are cool and fun, but really there's more important things happening in the affiliates, specifically, athlete or, clients losing 100 pounds. Like, that's more valuable to the people in the world.
But playing devil's advocate, I mean, the games itself, and Greg used to say themselves, they're an expensive bill, but they were basically a marketing expense. When you take that away, I know a lot of affiliate owners found when the Open started and registration started, and then people would watch the CrossFit Games on ESPN, seeing that beautiful footage really inspired people to come to affiliates and then join up and become CrossFitters or start affiliates. If you take the CrossFit Games away, or you kind of erode the CrossFit Games, or whatever you want to say, change it, do you not think that could be detrimental to CrossFit itself?
Sure. I think you're right. I think the thing is, I'm one of those guys that started doing CrossFit because I saw someone do something that I considered impossible. I saw Joshua Everett doing King Kong, and it blew my mind. And I started doing CrossFit because it seemed like this is how Batman would train. But the thing is, like, you're right. If the games were to be taken away, they would certainly fall apart in terms of, leading the cutting edge and being that sort of like competitive drive for people to start doing this. But at the same time, I don't think the games are going away. You and I are here. We're doing media. I think the world feed is still around, and it's now being disseminated across a much broader spectrum of places. As far as I understand, the viewership numbers are at, if not greater than they have been in the past, just based off of the aggregate number of people watching all the streams. And it seems to me like the argument of, if the games go away, then we lose sort of that cutting edge competitive marketing. That's an accurate argument, but it's also a straw man argument, because the games aren't going away. The games are still here, and it's,
right,
like I said, more exciting than ever.
So finally, I mean, I guess you could say that from your perspective, you think CrossFit as a sport and as a fitness health movement is strong and going in the right direction?
Yeah, I would say so.
Would you? I mean, you're kind of like
the reason
you're close with Greg. Would you tell me if that was not the case?
Listen, if I knew something, then I certainly would be talking about something. But my feeling is like two sides of the coin, right? From a media perspective, from like a personality perspective, from a fan perspective, a participant perspective in this whole thing, I think that the games season changes are overall massively positive. The other side of that is there are definitely affiliate markets that are way too saturated, and we're starting to see affiliates drop off the map. And I don't know what the affiliate numbers are. You know what I mean? Like, HQ doesn't really release them, and the best estimates we have are from outside media sources like Morning Chalk Up, and even they sort of like hesitate and wait until they have as much data as they can to make an accurate assessment. And until we start seeing like a massive drop in the affiliate numbers, I think then you can kind of start sounding some flags in terms of what's happening. But I know that long-standing communities of affiliates, places like Southern California, places like Miami, New York, the places where there have been affiliates forever and ever and ever, those places are seeing affiliates, people are telling me this all the time, they're seeing affiliates de-affiliate or close their doors or just change their names. And I don't know what that effect is going to be in the long term. I know that people are doing CrossFit, and while it's really important that HQ is there to protect affiliates and sort of make sure that affiliates aren't being sidelined by things outside of their control, they kind of opened Pandora's box already. And as long as CrossFit's effective and the community works and the workouts are fun, people are going to do it, whether they call it that or not.
I guess you're not that concerned, because Armin Hammer TV is doing phenomenally well, so much so that you have a nice little red Porsche in the disabled parking spot.
Yeah, by the way, totally not disabled. I can click my heels and everything. Like,
wow.
I don't even know. I just
Wow.
I just park like a douche. It's sick.
Wow.
If I had a collar, I'd pop it. I don't even know why I'm not wearing my sunglasses
you got
right
to
now.
put those sunglasses on the inside. It's very important. Yeah. Yep. I like that look.
What up?
Yeah. No.
You got my attention, baby, and I can't make a move. Like a child, a star for love, I stay there as long as I have to. feel brand new. Come on, give it up to me. Let me take care of you. I know that your mama said I'm gonna make you cry all night. I'll cry a river of tears that flows to the sea. Baby, if you run away, baby, if you leave.
That last stretch.
Hands are awesome. Hands nice.
If you guys want, I have like Sarah's free that would keep like
Did you sleep in the van? What's that? Did you sleep in the van? No. What happened? Sam, what happened to your hands? I melted them off. Seriously?
Nothing happened to our hands. We're fine. It's just warm. We're fine.
the field's just hot.
We're just cooling them down.
That's what we do.
That snail into the end zone. Sam, what happened? Madison, what's going on? It's hot. It's hot. You didn't burn them or anything. Oh, whoa.
Other times. The field's just hot. We're just cooling them down. Okay.
That's gangster.
Ran like a fucking wind.
How'd it go, Maka?
It's good. That turf's really hot. They got hotter each round, but it was good. So hot. Like they weren't lying.
I'm fine.
The first round was
If my fingers are good, I'm good. Nothing's falling off my hands. I'm fine.
Bob. Hold on, let me see.
Nah, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, Marco. Will it be enough?
Mama ain't raised no bitch.
I'm just so glad nobody rides my hands that walk.
The 3 minutes closer to that 2-minute mark.
Marco's back.
So close to getting that 700 pounds into the end zone. Minute remaining.
Stay out of the way,
We redeemed ourselves. I did handstand walking last year. We could not handstand walk last year. Worth a damn.
Last year, Sam and Holden tried to do the handstand obstacle course, and they crushed it. They practiced so much for regionals, and they didn't practice at all for the games. They threw it back in the games. It was their worst event last year. They both failed like 10 times. It was awesome.
Tell me, talk about this. What you said about their hands out there.
Oh, so the turf is so hot that they're smelting the skin off their hands, the fat of their hands right there, the ball. They didn't wear gloves. Everyone else wore gloves, and I'm not sure. It looks like they might have paid the price for not wearing gloves, but they didn't fall down one time, so they got to take the win, but their hands are raw. What I was telling them is not to rip the skin off. You can cover it up and keep it from getting real raw, but you got to keep the old skin on. So they all did. They're good to go. They're tough-ass kids, man. They're good.
Reporter Nicole, somehow we managed to meet you again.
I'm everywhere you want to be.
Oh, I like that.
Hey.
But what I would like to be is have 3 Invictus teams in the final day. What's our status so far?
Yeah, I don't know about all that because Invictus is in 3rd, Invictus X is in 6th, and Invictus Boston is in 12th, and we're making cuts somewhere around the 10, 11 slot spot. So I don't know about all that moving forward.
It was extreme. A lot of people don't understand how hot it was out there.
Hot. Like a lot of people think that the tennis stadium in Carson was hot. This was hot. This was hot.
Did you see what happened with the athletes? With
Yes,
the hands?
you know, it looked like because we've been in the North Park for 2 days and the turf was getting really, really hot and we had a lot of handstand walking, so it almost looked like rug burn on some of their palms. And then obviously they had to like hold the barbells and hold the bars, and then there's a sled and they're trying to put the snail, and it's carnage, man. It's carnage.
Where are we standing? Like we're at midpoint on Friday. Well, what's the status on the teams? Like, do you know standings yet, or?
Yeah, so those standings, so Invictus in 3rd, Invictus X in 6th, and Invictus Boston in 12th, and we are, from what I understand, wrapped outside for the day, so we'll move inside. Nobody knows what's happening, though, realistically.
Yeah, do we know when cuts are happening, or if that's going to happen?
Cuts are happening post-event, and then the event descriptions are basically given out, like, moments before the event starts. So the athletes have no idea what's coming and no time to prepare.
Is there anything interesting about the event that that kind of comes to your attention?
At this point in the games, typically the athletes know at least a couple of events that are coming, so they've been able to drill maybe some things that are their weaknesses, or maybe using some pieces of equipment that they normally can't get their hands on. This year they haven't been able to do any of that, so literally anything could be coming down the pipeline. But we haven't seen, the only time we saw something sort of similar to this was the Chaos event from last year, where they knew that they had things to do, they just didn't know how many or when they were going to move on. But this is the first time that they're literally going into the weekend blind, and it's interesting to see how quickly people are adapting.
Do we know what the next event is?
We know nothing. We know nothing.
On that point, I would love it if I could see you go on one of these rides.
With these? Do you think I would pop it? Do you think I'd pop it? All right, let's go.